Now look, I've said this once, but I'll say it again, but actors like Robert De Niro, they never seem to get the memo or the message or the idea that the majority of people, not just in the United States, but around the entire world, they don't want to be lectured by actors or actresses or those in Hollywood or those even in the media at that, to be told how they should live their daily lives or what they should believe in or how politically motivated they should be. Stuff around those lines is exactly what drives fans away from their work, and it's exactly what happened with Robert De Niro. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Robert De Niro right now is that we all know that he's dealing with extensive backlash, and for valid reasons out there. I mean, he definitely does deserve what's coming to him based on what he said about the general public, about Trump supporters, about Republicans, or just anybody that holds a different political opinion than him, or even those out there calling out Robert De Niro for his behavior, and how he wants nothing to do with your business anymore if you have a different political opinion. Now, he's said this on MSNBC, he's done this on ABC before, and different media outlets out there, on an endless amount. You know, we know that there's a lot of things going on with De Niro right now. However, when it comes down to what recently happened to Robert De Niro from a live audience, this is where it really begins to show you exactly how many people are just disgruntled with Robert De Niro and how they really do not want to deal with him anymore or actually look up to his work anymore. So one thing about Robert is that we all know that to this very day, he is beginning to play the blame game once again, play the victim card as an actor, and this is really beginning to grow very tiresome for the public. Now, with actors like Robert De Niro still going on his political rants about Trump, MAGA, and Republicans, and actually using that as, of course, a way to essentially just play like he's the victim, and so much support after his terrible comments about Charlie Kirk, by politicizing his assassination, he lost so much support over that. One major development that is now active involves how a live audience recently booed Robert De Niro off the stage in the midst of filming an entire segment for the Jimmy Kimmel Live show. Now, it turns out that both Kimmel and De Niro were on stage where they filmed an entire sequence that backfired quickly by hecklers in the audience that immediately booed not just Jimmy Kimmel, but also Robert De Niro when they filmed an entire segment on the subject of Marjorie Taylor Greene turning against Trump. Now, the conversation also turned into a skit where Robert De Niro was impersonating Trump, where Kimmel was wearing a woman's blonde wig to impersonate Marjorie Taylor Greene in front of a live audience. The skit backfired immediately by, get this, more so after Robert De Niro decided to go off script for the skit and made a couple of comments about Trump and MAGA taking advantage of Charlie Kirk's death to advance themselves in the 2026 midterms by gaining sympathy. This is when a group of Republicans and Trump supporters out in the audience, and so happened to be a part of the Jimmy Kimmel Live taping that took place right around 5 p.m. Pacific time, roughly to be specific around 5:03 to 5:08 p.m. Pacific time, is when the skit was taped. The booing was so severe by the live audience to the point that during the break of filming the skit, both Kimmel and Robert De Niro actually asked everyone to calm down, which is when curse words by some members in the audience were exchanged. This is when a ABC executive stepped in to escort Robert De Niro off stage, quickly as Jimmy Kimmel went back into his seat for the next, of course, segment. What was shocking, though, is that ABC executives decided to pull this entire segment before it went on live television. This was a last-minute decision that was, of course, made by Disney CEO Bob Iger, who decided that he wanted nothing to do with this and prevented this to actually prevent more backlash from Charlie Kirk-related remarks that were actually put out there by Robert De Niro. However, Kimmel's portrayal of Marjorie Taylor Greene are actually said to return next week without the presence of Robert De Niro this time. ABC executives were reportedly frustrated and annoyed over Robert De Niro's, of course, outlandish behavior and how he went off script, and that did indeed sabotage one of their most recent episodes, which actually explains why one of the more recent episodes was shorter than usual. Now, with De Niro serving as one of the many actors recently to be booed off stage from a live audience during the taping of a show similar to what happened to Jane Fonda and others out there, seemingly this is becoming the new norm, where Trump supporters and regular Republicans are deciding to attend these programs to see exactly what it's like behind the scenes, and taking it to the next level by calling the actors out in the moment. Now guys, let me say one thing about this. Now, this is exactly why, for those of you that are unaware, that there's a lot more security at ABC or any other studio that handles a television program that happens to have a live audience. For those of you that do not know, it is something that you can attend for free. The tickets are all free and may take you several weeks until you get to actually attend, but you can actually decide to go on Jimmy Kimmel Live or The View, for example, or even Gutfeld, for example, as well. I mean, you can go on any program. They're all free out there, just to let you know. But what's really insane now is the fact that you have Robert De Niro going on programs like Jimmy Kimmel Live and deciding to go off script. We all know how that backfired for ABC when Jimmy Kimmel himself went off script and said what he had to say about Charlie Kirk at the time and Charlie Kirk's supporters and MAGA in general, and how that led to his suspension. So now, the fact that Robert De Niro went off script and how that backfired, where a live audience called him out on it, and how that actually forced ABC executives and Disney executives to intervene to actually cut out this entire segment from the pre-taped material. Now, this is exactly why I keep putting out that argument that ABC could have prevented what Jimmy Kimmel did several weeks ago, because everything is pre-taped. Nothing is truly live when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel Live. Regardless of it being called that, it's not truly live like you think it is. It's all pre-taped material. You know, they begin filming it around 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, right around that time. And unlike The View, yes, is an actual live program, even though it does fall under ABC as well. Jimmy Kimmel is a late-night television show, and typically they're all pre-taped. Now, one thing about all of this is that the hecklers were escorted out of the studio by security in a very similar fashion to what happened to the hecklers that booed the host of The View after the taping of an episode 2 weeks ago. Regardless of this, plans for De Niro's return are still set, but contracts will now be involved to prevent him from going off script in the future. So basically, you know, Disney internally, they're like having that sorry not sorry attitude again. And that's exactly why I always like to say Disney's gonna Disney, because they're always with that Disney agenda. Now, Robert De Niro, he's gonna be this new returning presence on Jimmy Kimmel Live, playing different characters or just going on there to share his political opinion by mixing in skits with it as well. And how you had a moment where Jimmy Kimmel was playing Marjorie Taylor Greene with a blonde wig on his head, and Robert De Niro was acting like Trump, and how Charlie Kirk remarks are actually shoehorned into that skit and conversation, and how that backfired. I can only imagine what was going on through Bob Iger's mind there, where parts of it actually went off script. But overall, I would really love to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments. Anything ranging from the Disney stock tanking to ABC also dealing with a lot of ratings disasters for their shows like Jimmy Kimmel Live, The View, Good Morning America, and more. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.